So, with about 60 seconds left, want to close with this. What about this conflict are you looking at that you do not think is being accurately reflected in reporting or in mainstream news? What are we
Yeah.
missing?
The biggest single thing is the extent to which it is the Israelis that have been driving a potential conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. In 2006, that was a Hezbollah war all the way. I'm not carrying any water for Hezbollah. I can't stand them. They're a cancer on Lebanese society. So I'm not a Hezbollah guy at all. I mean, the opposite. But Hezbollah's role here was to spring into action on October 7 and not do what Hamas expected and hoped for, which was come in on their side. But they did increase the rocket fire into Israel within the accepted terms of engagement since 2006 and really since 2000 across that border. In other words, within a mile radius of the border on either side and with limited casualties and aiming mostly almost entirely at that point at military targets. And the Israeli response has been to escalate at every stage. And they have escalation dominance, which is a position you want to be in, because the Israelis can, even the most sort of anti-war Israeli can see some potential benefits in it. They just don't fear this war. And they know that Hezbollah and Iran do fear this war. And they don't want anything to do with this war for the reasons I explained. It's just, there's nothing in it for them. And some Israelis hope that they could deliver a blow to Iran that would reverse the strategic balance after October 7 and make it more costly to Iran than to Israel, and also restore the damaged credibility, the crisis of credibility of the Israeli security state after the failures of October 7. That Hezbollah is a much more conventional adversary, and you could go into Lebanon and smash it up and come out with a quantifiable list of things you destroyed and why that's better for Israel. And you took the number of missiles and rockets down from 150 to 20,000, and you blew most of them up, and the launching pads are not there, and you killed 80% of their commanders. God knows what you want. But the hope is you could do that. Now, the problem is, of course, it won't go that way. And I think the biggest voices initially for this idea back in October and early October were Defense Minister Gallant and National Security Advisor Hanegbi. And they've soured on the idea because they've seen how exhausted the army is after Gaza. And they feel that this war is not necessary now. It could be done later. The other side doesn't want it. So why do it now? There are other voices saying, no, now is the time. The Americans are here. They've promised to protect us if we are attacked. They're right off the coast. We ought to do it now. Iran isn't a nuclear power yet. We got to take out their friends right now. We got to do it now. And that voice is very strong. And I don't think it's been appreciated enough in the mainstream reporting, the extent to which Hezbollah has been pulling its punches and backing away at every stage since October 7 and 8. And Israel has been the one, pushing forward. Now, they're using escalation dominance to try to collect gains, in on the ground, in reality, or even at the negotiating table, without a war, and that's so gratis. In other words, easy victories. So far, they haven't got much, and I'm afraid that number one, the voices for war will win out, and we'll get one. And number two, I'm afraid of what can happen when people play chicken with flying bombs. And we saw that already in the Golan Heights when Hezbollah, obviously by mistake, killed 15 Syrian Druze teenagers and children in a soccer field. They didn't intend to do that. That was totally against their interests. It happened because they're playing chicken with flying bombs. And the Israelis are doing it too. A lot of that has happened in Lebanon, but no one cares. It doesn't really get any press. But the point is that things can go south very quickly. And I'm really worried about this. So I think people should pay attention to whether Israel presses the issue or not in Lebanon. I would urge you, that's the question of the moment more than anything else.